No, dude, Grey Wolf is like, I think he's still alive. He's like 80 years old. All right. You don't see Manson much in video from. He was in jail when he was my age, wasn't he? Yeah. If you watch Manson in 77, he's around my age. And he looks good. And he sounds fucking good. He's at the peak of his game, if you ask me. And again, right before he died in the 90s with that interview. When I stand on the mountain and I say do it, it gets done. And, or believe me, you don't want me to move on it. You better move on that. Yeah. And that's the last thing you want is me to move on it. You better move on it. You better give me my rights like King George, or I'll be King George. If you don't give me my rights in 1776, I'll go buck nuts up in this box. That's fucking. He was 60 years old there. But if you look at Manson from like the 70s, I think there was there was a lot of interviews in 77, I think they did with him. And so around that era, that's when he's at the peak of his game, just like me. Grey Wolf, Charlie, almost the one time he got married, but didn't. He was married so many fucking times. That's another cool thing about Manson. How many times was he married? He's got a lot of kids, too. One of his kids, wow, I don't even want to know. I might be a Manson child. But anyway, one of his, what is it? What was I saying? Yeah, no, he had gotten this young girl, this like Mansonite, like young girl that, and Grey Wolf, I guess they call him a member of the family. It just seems like a Manson kiss ass. He knew from the online boards and bulletins back around 2010 or something, Manson's to-be wife, Grey Wolf, had fucked her. And I guess Manson, he was crying about it, Manson was. It's hard to imagine. Somebody said it was hard to imagine him crying. It is a little, but it's like, not really though, because like, you've been in prison so long. It's got to be wounding to your ego, but I'm Charles Manson. Why would she fuck Grey Wolf? I'm surprised he didn't go off the deep end. Look what he wanted to do to Dennis Wilson over a song. I'll fucking kill Grey Wolf. I'm gonna kill that nigga if it's the last thing I do. I'm surprised he didn't say that. I'm gonna kill Grey Wolf. Yeah, dude. Grey Wolf though is what's he gonna do now? How come the family didn't accentuate? It should have turned into a new religion. If it's not already. People say they're closing the books on it. I don't think that's really going to happen. I think that people are going to love this shit forever. And they keep... Did you notice, like, the continuing wordage of the Manson thing? Myth. Yeah, of course it's an illusion. It was out in Hollywood. It's riddled and drips in California-ness. But, I mean, it's like what I said 6 or 7 years ago on my Thanatos Fanaticos channel. Did it even fucking happen? Is that shit real? The Charlie we see in later years, is that even Manson? These are the questions. When I think about D.B. Cooper, did that fucking happen? Does that make me a pessimist? Or no, it makes me a cynic or a skeptic. Yeah. Anything like that drips in Hollywoodness, Hollywoodisms, and government shit, cover-ups. Well, of course, the whole Manson thing is a cover-up, but I mean, is it even a cover-up, or is it just a fucking lie, straight-up lie that keeps morphing into another lie until it's like the Mafia channels I watch, which are great, but it's sad because a lot of those old-timey families that I used to follow and shit, or whatever, how they morph into new families, and generations go on and people die, and then pretty soon it's like, we've got an exclusive interview with the long man who knew the butler for the Gambino crime family. You know what I mean? It's like now you're doing an interview of the current lawn man, the lawnmower man, fucking knowing the butler once upon a time who knew used to do the Gambino's lawn or something, one of the Gambino members' lawns. And that's why they're eager to close the books on this kind of thing, and they keep saying the final chapter, the final word on it. The final word is I don't really believe it even fucking happened. Well, where did all those people go? It must have happened. But I mean, I think it did happen in some way. And it just keeps, and instead of a cover, if it was a cover up, it wasn't a very good one, because if it did happen, it happened over drugs. Yeah. And Roman Polanski, everybody, I don't know how much of a piece of shit he is. It's easy to sit around on podcasts. In podcasts, they say, oh, we only deal in facts. Well, you can't call people a piece of shit either, because that's not factual. You don't know if Roman Polanski's a piece of shit or not. That's not cool to say. He come from a fucking Nazi ghetto. He escaped from a Nazi Warsaw ghetto. Give him some fucking credit. He was a victim too in life. I'm sitting there listening to a Richard Ramirez broadcast the other day, and I'm listening to this guy go on about how bad Richard Ramirez's teeth were, and how his breath was so bad, and I'm like, yeah, probably. Do you think he wore deodorant? He probably smelled like onions. But I mean, is that for? If you're going to sit around and pontificate about the guy's fucking breath and his teeth like that, maybe you should do it in a classier fucking way. Or don't try to vilify him. I mean, we're studying him. It's supposed to be factual. Don't vilify these motherfuckers. You don't have to celebrate him either, but don't vilify him. Just look at this scumbag. What a piece of shit. It's like, well, then why are you even talking? How does it feel giving factual presentations on a piece of shit? Think about what you say before you say it. But I've heard some good podcasts lately. Usually it's just three retarded fucking dudes that you can't even differentiate who's talking. But I mean, I listened to one the other day where these kids actually read the whole CIA book on Manson. And that was a tough book to read. I enjoyed it, but it was tough to read, it's the kind of book I'd have to read thousands of times before I could possibly maintain all the knowledge that was in it. Tom, what's his fuck's book? I forget. I like him though. He rode that wave. He surfed on that. He got a year deadline to write a book. He managed to surf on that motherfucker for 20 years. It had to happen though, because look, I mean, it was a big ball that started to unravel, and then soon, when you're ejected from the United States, like Polanski was, you really fucked up. What was it over? The one time he got caught with the 13-year-old in the tub or something? Well, what were her parents thinking? Go with the photographer man? Where he's gonna, slip you a roofie, give you champagne, and she doesn't seem that affected by it. That was business as usual to him, day in, day out. It's Harvey Weinstein, scumbag. This fucking scumbag. It's like, do you really know that? All I heard about the guy was like, okay, he'd get some people to come over and fucking and then he'd come out with a fucking bathrobe on or something, or take his dick out. Well, if it was me and you catch me in the wrong day, I might be worse. These girls knew that. The other girls told him that. The guys told him that. She knew that. Babe in the woods and shit. What the fuck you think you were going in there into the belly of the beast for? Opening? What the fuck you think? I mean, come on. That's political. That's a witch hunt. That right there is strange, though. I wonder about that. It's just like he must have been some kind of monster in a different way that we're not really hearing about. So what? Guy's a womanizer. Slept with how many times did he pull that off? All of a sudden, Rose McGowan got a fucking. This is enough. This is enough. Come on, Rose. Did you ever hear about how Rose McGowan came up too? she's no stranger to cheap sex and shit like that. So it makes me wonder, what the fuck did he do? He must be a monster in some way. Or Epstein.